no matter what your business is in the restaurant industry, like you're a part of someone's life. I mean, it's kind of a cool thing, you know?
Price tag's still on there. And the name brand of the shirt.
Okay, on today's episode, I'm excited to be joined by Alexis Parra. I had the chance to connect with Alexis at a recent California Restaurant Association event where we shared the stage to talk about our background in the hospitality world. Alexis is the co-founder of Nékter Juice Bar, one of my family's favorite places to go, and one of the fastest growing juice and smoothie brands in the country, known for its focus on fresh, clean ingredients and a modern approach to healthy eating. Alexis, welcome to Fish Factor. How are you doing today?
Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, that was fun. So let's talk a little bit about your background and your brand. Like, what originally drew you to the restaurant and hospitality industry?
First of all, I want to say I'm like the best part of what you just said was that it's your family's favorite brand. That makes me
it's one of them, yeah, for sure.
I love
that. I only know about it because they bring it home all the time.
Love that. That makes me happy. Okay, sorry. What was the question? I totally
just no, I forgot. It was just like your background. Like, how'd you get into hospitality? What's your pathway to where you're at now?
Yeah, I mean, other than like waiting tables in college, I kind of landed here just by accident. I think a lot of us, right, have a similar story.
Yeah.
But no, I was doing teacher training for yoga. My kids were, younger, like 5 and 7. And I was drinking green juice. And, 16 years ago when this was happening, green juice wasn't like a big thing. And so I would go in and they were like warm or didn't, so I started doctoring them and making them taste good. And I'm like, now I actually really love it. And then my husband at the time, who's my co-founder, he was doing acai bowls, but they were like loaded with sugar. And so I was like, can we do this? And we did. We created the brand then. So like I laugh because I'm like, we didn't have a business plan. We didn't do anything the way you're supposed to do it. It was just kind of like, let's just see what happens. Super willy-nilly. And we got lucky. Although I don't like to blame it on luck because I do think like the integrity was there, the reason why we wanted to do it, like all of the things that make Nékter, the reason why we're still here today when a lot of other brands are not, is because of the integrity and because of, who we are. And I think that those things went into the fabric of what we were. And we wanted to, I felt amazing being able to get my hands on like fresh pressed juices and smoothies that were made with like real ingredients. So those kind of things like were woven into the fabric and they're still there today. So
what year did you open the original location or first location?
2010.
Oh, wow. So that's cool. I'm asking because, so my 3 daughters are all in their 20s. Their youngest was born in 99. And I was just having this conversation with somebody yesterday. It's like, or 2 days ago, when we were raising our daughters, we were so careful about what they ate, because my family was a lot of obesity on my side of the family, and there's heart disease and there's diabetes and cholesterol, all those things, like all the killers. Right? And my dad died young. He actually died at my age, like 56. And so like when we were raising the kids and my youngest was only 2 months old, it was always like, what's the healthiest path forward? And like we would get teased all the time when we were around other parents. It's like, your kids have never had like a Coke or Pepsi or 7-Up or any soda. I'm like, no, I mean, they can make their choices when they're older, but right now it's like my kids, everyone's looking for candy and I would ask for like carrots and celery.
That's amazing. Because not a lot of people can say that, because it takes a lot of willpower, especially with, birthday parties and all the things. You go out to dinner and that's amazing. Especially your kids grew up in the restaurant industry too, right?
And I give my wife all the credit for that because she was pretty strict on all that. Being a teacher, like she would say, like these kids that come in loaded up on pancakes and sugar cereal are impossible to deal with a lot of times in class. So she didn't want to put that burden on any teacher for one, but also knew like, we want to raise, like one of my friends put it the best way. My goal in raising a family is so they're not a burden on society. And when you're not eating healthy, and it could be behavioral issues, it could be health issues, it could be like I can't hold a job. Like so much of it comes back to your body and nutrition. And actually, I would say the other thing I learned is I had a mentor that would taught business philosophy for a long time, and he had taught us, and someone else taught him this, that as human beings, there's 13 things that we all have to take care of, and the first one always is your body. Because people think it's like you're just this carriage with a head running around on it. But it's like really, your body is your primary source of everything else that you do. And if you don't take care of it, nothing else really matters. So that's why like a product like yours was like totally welcome in our house, because the kids were raised around that. And so now that they're all, professional dancers and choreographers and the things that they do, like being healthy is a big part of that.
Yeah. Well, and I always say you pay now or you pay later, right? Like it's like you either take care of, teach your kids to take care of themselves, teach them to make the right choices. I mean, I was raised healthy, but almost too healthy to the point where it was like, then I skewed so far the other direction. Mm-hmm. When you'd put like Oreos in front of me, I'd be like, oh my God, what is this amazing thing?
In a sleeve.
Yeah. And then you find your way back. But I think it's like teaching your kids moderation and teaching your kids to make those choices and to pay attention to how they feel, right? Like it's not just how it tastes, but it's like, do you crash and feel like crap after you eat something like that? It's not something most parents, I think, know to teach.
Yeah. And you'll know, like I noticed when our daughters were really, really young, they all had different personalities and different things would set them off, or, why is she upset and crying? I don't understand. And what we a lot of times were able to come back to, it's like, oh, it's this item. Maybe it was gluten, or maybe it was too much sugar. Regardless of trying to be really healthy, you still don't know how they're going to react to certain things. And you just think, is it something I did? Is it something like wrong with them? Like, no, it's what they're putting in their body, and they don't know any better at that age. So it's like our responsibility.
Yeah. And I think it starts with the education of the parents, and then the parents being able to like pay attention, because the kids are too young to understand, oh, I freaked out because I ate sugar all day, so
tasted so good. What so I think I got kind of the purpose, and then you said luck, and then you took it away, which I'm glad that I'm always like there is some luck involved, right? I mean, like I think somebody else I knew, this a really successful business person, is like luck is sort of the personification of what your experiences are, because you're, as a result of failures and success and practice and trial and error, you're able to see situations different that might appear like luck, but they may not have shown up otherwise. So I think is that kind of where you were going with that earlier?
Yeah. I mean, you get lucky with like circumstances, but then behind that, like you're saying, it's the intention and the integrity. And I've done a little bit of mentoring and like conversations with other female business restaurant industry, and it's like, it's start with like something that you're passionate about. Start with something that's there. Your purpose is like a true, I want to share this. Yeah. I want to give someone this experience. I want to, like, this changed my life, so I want to share it with other people. Like if you start with that intention, I don't think that's luck, but I think that's like you're coming from the right place, as opposed to, I think some people start like, I'm going to start a business and make a bunch of money. And we know that's not the restaurant industry. Right.
There's a lot of obstacles in the way of making that work. But if you're creating a product that people want, and then they can see that you believe in it, and you've created it in a way that actually helps them not just have something to eat, but something that makes them better, healthier, happier. Luck plays a role, but you're connecting with something people care about. And, I've found that people, I have conversations all the time with people, right? And you can tell sometimes where they stop listening. Because they can't connect to what I'm saying, to why they would care. And so you have to get curious and ask questions and really get in there. Like, well, what do you think about this? Or why would you go that? And a lot of times when you ask the right questions, people will really open up and share a lot with you. And then you can say, oh, now I can see what you care about, and I can help you there. And I think when it comes to health right now, especially after the pandemic and everything we went through, people's like narrative or story about being healthy and what they put in their bodies, I think it's ripe for an offer like yours to be there to help.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking the year, like 2010 versus 2017. You had time to prime and be ready for that. I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think it's like in our world we know we need it more, right? Like not everyone's educated. You're seeing health issues. I mean, our diabetes rates are high. Like, you said ran in your family. Mine too, right? But it's like how far back all this goes and then are we being educated as a society to like move around it? It's like it's not just pop a pill. It's like, hey, hold on. Can you control this? Can you take care of yourself? Can you eat real food? Like that's been my one thing. It's like there's a 1,000 different diets. You could be on keto or you could be carnivore. I mean, like you can make yourself crazy trying to be like, oh, this doctor's recommending this, and they're all trying to promote a book. But at the end of the day, if you could eat real food, and maybe 80 to 90% of your diet is that, you're good. Like you're not going to have diabetes. You're not going to put yourself in a position to get cancer early. You're not like, those are the things that, no doctor can make a book on that and no pharmaceutical company is going to make money on that. So that's why you're not hearing it as much, but
that's the unfortunate truth. I mean,
that's it, right?
There's no incentive.
Yeah.
So what I think you've got a lot of competitors, I imagine, right? What sets you guys apart for what you do versus others?
I mean, I feel like you have places like Erewhon, right, where you're going to spend $30 for a smoothie. And I love what they do. I mean, I think it's an incredible model, right? And then you have places like, should I say the competitors? Is that okay? You have the ones that are basically what I call glorified ice cream. And they're scooping, they're pushing a button and with the strawberry on it and strawberry juice comes out. And then they're putting in, a scoop of ice cream or sherbet or something, blending it up and saying, here you go, here's your smoothie. Which I'm like, I always tell people, I'm like, just go get an ice cream cone. Go get something you're going to enjoy more because for the sugar bomb that is and like how bad that is for you. And there's a lot of those. And those are like the big ones on every corner. And they were around a long time ago, like back when I was in college, like a long time ago. But it was like, I would go work out and then get a smoothie and think I'm being healthy. And then you're like, well, I just took in that one cup more calories than I even got close to burning at the gym,
The juice kind of time frame.
Yeah.
I remember that too. Like this tastes great, but I know I'm going to be in a coma in like an hour.
Right. If I did this every day, I'd have diabetes in a week. Yeah,
exactly. What's your current role look like in the company? What are you like your day to day?
So I
got that part, but like there's 20 years since.
Well, yeah, I mean, the beauty of of starting a business and being a founder is just like you get to kind of pick and choose as you grow. You're delegating things to different people. So I've always loved the recipe side. It's sort of like I would say like I'm an artist by nature, so food is my art form,
Oh, cool.
So I have a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of, at some point now, we're 16 years in, I'm like, okay, like we've pretty much made every possible combination with fruits and vegetables. There's, like our reigns, like we have a lot more guardrails on like what our options are. So it does every now and then I want to bang my head against the wall. Like, okay, what else can I possibly create that like, what other combination of, these 20 different fruits and vegetables can I make? But I have fun with it, so we brought in like a protein waffle recently last summer. And so, we're able to like drizzle things on top and make drizzles. Those go on the smoothies. And
so I'm curious, when you're working on something like that, do you start with here's this issue, whether maybe it's a deficiency or a health issue, and we're going to create a product for it? Or are you more around, these are cool products, what can we make out of it? Or is it a flavor profile that you're after? Like, what's your genesis to start?
I mean, I think all of them, because, you're like, okay, January, we're focused on like more of people are trying to lose weight, health. What is like the mindset of our consumer? So a lot of times we'll lead with like protein's been so big lately. I think like the protein powder has gone up like 3 times just because the supply and demand is so stupid right now. So there's things like that, but then there's also, like what other flavor profile, what is in season. So like for summer, we're launching strawberry. So just kind of reinventing strawberry and like a strawberry shortcake aspect. So things like that, like, you just kind of play around and then like kind of keeping an eye on the pulse of like, okay, there was a period of time where I think like La La Land, the matcha, there's like some matcha and it's like everybody had to, I mean, we're so dictated these days by like what's trending on TikTok. It's crazy. Like we can't function that fast. Like if it's trending today, like by the time we could get it on the menu, it would be, it wouldn't even be available. Or it wouldn't even be trending anymore. They'd be on to the next thing. But it's like paying attention to what's trending, paying attention to what people are interested in and the way things go, but also being able to stay true to like, we're not going to turn around and, jump on the latest trend always.
Have you created anything that became popular enough that other competitors copied it?
Oh gosh. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, it just occurred to me. I've watched it happen with our brand, and it's very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell because it's like, I think, again, like I said, there's only so many things you could do with fruits and vegetables. So it's like, okay, we launched yogurt last year. And now I saw one of our competitors is doing like yogurt parfaits and things and like doubling down on yogurt. And I'm like, but I don't know that I could take credit. I think what's funny in our industry is like, there's this window. So like in the beginning, I made this turmeric lemonade, right? And it was our lowest seller. So we took it off. And then like 2 years later, it's like, everybody's talking about turmeric, right? And so all of a sudden it's like, okay, I guess we better like figure that out. And all of our competitors had it. And I was like, we're a little too early,
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So what did competitors copy of yours? That's fun.
So, what we're known for is these giant trays of seafood that we do. And what we started to notice is as more that we marketed, the more we became popular for it. First, all the people that were located next door to us, literally next door, weren't supposed to sell any of that. I mean, even their leases just said tempura, sushi, whatever. They're doing our trays. And in one way, we didn't fight on it because we got so busy. Our customers were waiting an hour or two to get in the building and another hour or two to get food. So this was an alternative where they could just walk next door and then come back for the original later. So that was fine. But then I started noticing restaurants would have San Pedro fish trays on their menu. And then when
they weren't even pretending that they weren't
No. And it's kind of tough because when you own the trademark, you're legally obligated to file cease and desist. You have to tell them, hey, you can't do that. I would prefer to team up with them and maybe find a way to license it, but you have to start with the cease and desist, which seems adversarial, but you don't have a choice. And then the big one was when we had to leave, we got displaced, as I think I've mentioned when we were on stage. They're rebuilding the area, so we had to move into this parking lot. Well, the way that the media covered it wasn't they're moving, it's they're out of business, or they got, evicted, or their last day of business is March 3rd. And so I started noticing in the coming years, a lot of restaurants, San Pedro Fish Trays was actually a name of a restaurant. And so you'd see it on TikTok and then they're trending with our brand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's just a little place, but it's like, well, you still have to do something about it. And the more it gets to the point you go down this rabbit hole and you're seeing more and more and more places that were copying what we did because they thought, oh, they're gone. That's my opportunity, I think, part of what I was looking at. So I didn't know. Basically all we did was we built off of the idea of seafood fajitas when they first became popular in the 80s. Because it was you didn't really see, you saw shrimp fajitas, but it was mostly steak and chicken. And so we're like, well, we could do a version of that. So we were already copying other people. You're just kind of innovating and putting your own twist on it. Yeah. So it's hard to really patent it because it's a seafood tray. But if you're using the name San Pedro and we own it, then that becomes an issue. So I can't stop people from doing fajitas, and I don't want to. But you can't. But using our name became the issue. So I was curious if you saw things that you had created that was like, well, look what Nékter's doing. We should copy these guys. And I don't know.
We had people copy our entire concept. So like some guy was interested in franchising, early on, and all of a sudden someone's like, hey, in Florida, there's a brand, and they like I wrote the menu board, and I was like, the way I worded like our Popeyes acai, a taste, I forget, it was kind of cheesy now, I'm glad it's gone, but it was like a taste even olive oil would like, or something, I don't know, something. But they like it was verbatim our menu. And yeah, so we had to go through that whole thing. And I've seen there was I think overseas, I want to say in like Middle East or somewhere, there was an actual nectar. They like copied the entire brand. So we have seen that. And then, there's definitely some brands where you're like, they started like 5 years after us. Their menus are very similar. There's a point where you're like, I'm flattered. Like they think we're doing something right. So it's good. But at the same time, you're like, hey, like, can you at least, I don't know. Some of them were too.
The problem that I was struggling with on like a personal level is I'm all for, independently owned businesses, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I was flattered too, like they're copying what we're doing and they're small and it's a mom and pop, but the attorney's like, well, that's great. But if they do it better than you and they end up with 25 locations and you didn't do anything to stop it, then it's game over for you because you let them get away with it. And I'm like, all right, so we got to look into it. But I don't know. I mean, it sounds like you saw a similar, sounds like you went down a similar road.
Yeah. I mean, more as the concept as a whole, which I think is what you're saying too. Yeah. It was just like, they're like, wow, these guys did great with this. You made it famous. And so then, I mean, I think that's our world today, right? I mean, yeah, it
is. I mean, I'm always like, we kind of consider ourselves the seafood diplomats. I try not to take a side, and we just try to put people together, work things out, and help one another out. And you build networks, and I think your brand benefits in the long run. But it's, there's that, you're teetering on like there's certain legal things and there's ethics, and then like I go back to what's your stand, which I learned as what's your stand. Your stand is what you will do, what you won't do, and what you might do. And it's like, well, what's your stand about someone copying them? Well, I would really love to align with them, but I can't let them damage the family, what we built for the business either. So I'm open to helping them out. But I can't tolerate it if it's a danger to the generations and 300 people that we employ and their families. So it's, you gotta make a call sometimes. It's hard.
Yeah. There's a bigger picture that I think most people don't think about, like, right, your responsibility to the people you employ. And yeah, I mean, you're upholding a multi-generational family business that's like, yeah.
We have a lot of employees who've been with us 30 years, and their families work with us and they depend on us. So you have to put that into perspective as well. But I'm curious. So you create a product, you as the artist come up with, this is what we're going to put these ingredients together and we're going to call it this, and this is what it's going to taste like. How hard or difficult or how long does it take until you can roll that out across all the locations? So how many locations do you have, by the way?
230.
Wow. So who is responsible for saying, Alexis came up with this, you guys are going to do it this way? Like, how does that happen?
It's a whole process. So it's like, we're the R&D department. So we come up with the idea, create it, understand the numbers. A lot of times, I mean, I have a lot of recipes that never make it past that phase because you're like, oh, it's too expensive. We can't put it on the menu. That's where like the fast casual differs from like a nice restaurant, right? If like you make this giant seafood tray and it costs $100, I don't know how much it costs, but
it's a lot. We mistake in a fast casual concept, and people are like, I didn't come to this one to pay those prices.
Exactly. You're not, so it's like we have to be within our margins and all that. So it was a lot more fun in the beginning when I didn't have all these parameters. It was like, oh, just put it on the menu. It's good. I mean, I didn't even know what cost of goods were when I got into the business, but now we're to the point where, so R&D takes it, finalizes it, makes sure it works within our parameters, and then it's handed off to like marketing and ops and training, and they'll create the training, so it's very corporate. It's funny how like you go from being very, when we were small, it was like,
doing that right now.
I would show everybody how to make it and put up a recipe card and that would be it. But now, like recipe cards have to be printed. They have to be shipped to all the locations. Supply chain has to get involved to make sure, we have all the ingredients needed. And then those are all ready to be shipped across, we're nationwide now. So it's a whole other layer. And luckily I have really smart people to do all of that.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the same spot because for a long time, one of my uncles, one of our founders, what he would do is just go in to see my aunt, who was our financial director. And all he cared about on the financial side was, okay, I think it would be like the 15th. Did our account balance go up or down? No P&L, no cash flow analysis, no balance. None of that was in his vernacular because he was as long as the account's going up, we're doing fine. I don't care about the rest.
Yeah.
It worked for him for a long time. But then when you're starting to expand and you're realizing that's really good for one location. But if you're opening more, we have to start building a financial team, and we have to start taking in some of these sort of corporate principles that we didn't have. And it's a challenge. There's a lot of pushback all the time for us.
Yeah.
People are used to doing things a certain way.
Well, and especially like it's just such a different thought process around everything. And for me, it was just, it's like, gosh, it was so much more fun when I could just do whatever. I don't like all these, I don't like having to jump through hoops. And I mean, I could just go buy the ingredients I needed and then everybody would get it and voila, we're done, But at the same time, back in those days, I was also like, we were nobody. So like, our supplier would drop off the stuff. And if they didn't have what we needed, I'd be like running last minute to go buy coconut water if they didn't deliver it, or, we were like a nobody. So they didn't care. So now we get a little more of that. I mean, I still think some of the franchise partners have to deal with that too.
So I'm wondering on that. So you create this product, it goes through sort of this system that's in place now that says, okay, that works. The margins are there. Is there like, how long does it take to get everyone trained and how to make it and actually test it and put it into this 300 stores? That we said
230, yeah.
230 stores.
I mean, it's like we try to do ideation about a year in advance.
Oh, wow.
There's been times where it's way less. When we came up with the waffles, it was kind of okay, we're about to change the menu. Let's just make this happen and get it. And so everyone had to kind of scramble. We used to do that a lot more in the early days too, where we would just be like scrambling to get things on. But we try, again, it's like, because there's more processes in place and, you have like all these other people that it affects them. Yeah. It takes longer. So we're about a year in advance when we're coming up with it. And then, everything's shipped to stores. Everything's kind of in the pipeline. And
Wow. Yeah. That's, gosh, patience to do that. I just want it done now. It's like not possible.
And especially like I was saying about the trends, it's like, okay, if matcha's trending, like I can't react. I'm a year out, so if I'm like, okay, matcha's trending, so in a year, what's it's not going to be, people change.
How do you have a method or a way to anticipate what the next trend's going to be before it happens? Or is it just, again, I guess that's where luck kind of comes in, I suppose.
Yeah. And there's data companies that can pull it and like, we'll jump on and they're like, they'll say, oh, this is going to be what's trending, this year and It's true. The smoothie juice industry isn't such there's not a huge amount of that. I mean, you have right now, it's like, I just saw something like Dutch Brothers is like top 3 coffee places. And it's not because of their coffee that they're doing so well. It's because of these like fluorescent colored drinks that are just, it's like sugar bombs,
It's another brand in my house, by the way.
Yeah. So it's like they have just taken off from a trend perspective. With the bright colors and everyone, and same thing like the Air one I brought up in the beginning. It's just like people go there to take a picture with it. Like we have a very different system. And with that, though, also comes like a quick change. It's like what's cool this week is definitely not. I mean, with your daughters, it's like they need a certain outfit this week, and then like a month later, that's not cool anymore. And
somewhere on the floor in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm curious too. So if 230 locations, I'm going to assume that's got to be over 2,000 employees altogether, something like that.
So the 200 locations are franchised.
Okay.
And our corporate office has about we have about 1,000 in our corporate, somewhere around there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just under. I think we're just under. But and then every franchise owns their.
Yeah.
So probably quite a bit.
10 people per location on average, or is that? I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I would say that's about right. Yeah.
So if you have, okay, let's just say 3,000. I don't know, just throwing the number out. Like, what percentage of those 3,000 would you say are aligned with like your core values around health and what you sell? Is it all of them? Is it like, I'm just curious what the culture's like.
The actual employees.
Yeah, like I work here because I love the product versus I need to pay my bills.
I mean, I'd say it's probably, I'd say it's always been about 50-50. People stumble in, they're like, I love Nékter, or, the trendy factor when we were even more trendy and everyone's like, oh my gosh, I want to work at Nékter. And then like those aspects, because we're more plant-based in general, you get a lot of kids, there's definitely things that drive people to want to work there. But then, there's the people that I get hit up all the time, which I'm sure you do too. It's like people that have known in my lifetime that are like, hey, my daughter needs a job this summer. Can you hook her up? Yeah. You see a lot, right? Yeah.
You know, and there are a lot of people with that story that have gone really far with us, but I've gotten to this point. I want to help people. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, listen, if they can't come and apply and ask me on their own, are you going to be the one that calls and says they're out sick or they can't work? Or like, who am I actually employing?
Yeah.
Because we really develop people into being like self-led and responsible and accountable. And it's like the parental part is always like throws me a little bit like, "Ugh." But then again, there's a lot of people who've never gotten their first job or their parents didn't call them a favor like that too. Right. So it's like really kind of a crapshoot.
But also the like the generations, like there is a factor of that. Like my son, it was the same thing at 22. It was just like, I brought him in to work in R&D just to kind of get a feel for it. And I'm like, go ask marketing, da, 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 da. And he's like, what do I say? I don't know what to say. You know, and it's like that, his age group, they've texted, they've been texting and Snapchatting, and that's how they communicate. So it's like to actually, which remember we were on the CRA panel and that's what we were talking about, just like getting kids to make eye contact and communicate and be able to like not be, it's different from our generation where you had to call, pick up the phone and make a phone call, And
you couldn't walk very far because there was a cord, at least for me.
Yeah, me too. I'm right there with you. Yeah.
But it's changed. Like I'm noticing people that work for us on the, say like the corporate side. Right? We don't have as many as you, maybe 25 people in our home office. And it'll be like, I need you to, call this person and blah, blah, blah. And what'll happen is it's an email or a text. Mm-hmm. The idea of actually getting on and talking to someone, it's not there for a lot of people. Like we could have resolved all of this immediately with a phone call because it's so uncommon now that people will actually answer and talk to you.
Yeah.
Them, as opposed to the 400 emails I got probably since we started this interview.
Right. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like the easy way out.
Yeah.
What do you think the future looks like for your industry? Like just better for your restaurant concepts or just healthier food in general? Do you think the world's trending that way or is it still kind of a smaller percentage?
I mean, I like to think so. I like to hope so. It's kind of one of those things. Is it like I'm seeing that because that's what I look at, I'm paying attention to. Mm-hmm. I like to think that, but then, you have places like Dutch Brothers that's like people are getting like the pumps of the bright blue and green and whatever, I like to think that. I like to think that we are figuring out that we feel like crap when we eat that way. But I don't know. I mean, I do think there'll always be a space for a Nékter because there are enough people who do know how they feel. We run data and everything and we pull information. People are like, oh yeah, like I know that I feel better when I get this versus, if my two choices are like, my Starbucks or a smoothie, like the energy is cleaner from a smoothie than it is from, a Starbucks Frappuccino.
Right. What, I skipped over something I did want to ask you. So you went from this one location to 230.
Yeah.
Was that like a slow jump or did you we franchise and it exploded? Like what was the story of going from the ones you own to like licensing it out for in a franchise system?
So I want to say we were like 3 locations. We pretty quickly jumped to 2 because it was kind of funny. We opened in Costa Mesa and on the street and people were driving from like Corona del Mar, which is like 10, 15 minutes away. And they're like, can you open one on our side too? So we did. And then we opened, I want to say Long Beach. And then pretty soon after our, graphic designer was like, I want to open one. I want to put one in Dana Point. So that was like a test. Like we called it a partnership store. We kind of tested it. And then,
where's the Long Beach location?
Where is it?
Yeah. What part of Long Beach is that in?
Oh gosh. So we're in the Trader Joe's shopping center over by 3rd, 4th, somewhere over there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's right next to me here. I didn't think about that, but I pass by it all the time.
Oh yeah.
My restaurant's across the street.
Oh, that's so funny. I know. I need to come up. It's been a while since I've been up there. That's funny. Yeah. So very slowly. And then we very slowly we brought on a few small, like local people that wanted to open in Orange County, tested that, kind of figured out, we need processes, procedures, like all the things. And so we pulled back, revamped, did all that right. Our recipe, my original recipe was like a handful of spinach and this, It's like how I cook at home. I'm such a like an Italian, I cook like my Italian grandma. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's like the food, the language of love, right? Like food is like this feeling, not just so. Yeah, to try to translate that into actual recipe cards and do all the things, processes.
Nobody wants to do that. I hate that part.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, that's why everything I make when I cook at home, it's like different every time. My husband's like, what you do different? I'm like, I don't know, but
that sounded good,
right? Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Maybe I put more of this, or yeah. So just all the processes. So we moved into like, I want to say like we did about 30 stores. We sort of exponentially grew. It was like we almost doubled in size every year for a while there. And then we kind of hit the ground running, which is like franchise sales. And yeah, there were years where it was a lot more.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth all the time with our concepts of, I don't know that we're franchise opportunity yet. I'm still trying to work it out because we don't really fit as a restaurant. We're more of a destination where people spend the whole day.
Yeah.
So I don't know yet, but we're looking at a lot of those things. I might have to reach out to you later for advice on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is I noticed when it was me in my neighborhood and I was going to yoga and talking to people about, it's a different energy, right? And I'm doing all the training. I'm telling people, I'm like, treat everyone like they're a guest in your home. And it is hard to translate that across as you grow. You lose a lot in translation. And I think that's the one thing you give up, where versus like a little mom and pop juice bar where like you have your hands in everything, but you guys have what you have that's special. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, does that translate? It would depend on who you have franchising it. I think that you would have to be so selective to carry on your passion.
I didn't go into the details in this, but when we were on stage and we were talking about like getting displaced and moving into parking lots, the first time that happened, the business owners, the landlords that were developing the area were actually owned the restaurant we were at that day. They were the original developers that we kind of bounced around and got out of the way of. And then what I would always ask my family is like, listen, we have this one main location that before we open more, and the other restaurants that built around us, they built all over the place. Orange Hill was one of them, and they had Rusty Pelican and a lot of other locations. And I would ask, like, why didn't we do the same thing? Like, they open restaurants everywhere, but we've just been fighting over this postage stamp for like 70 years. I don't understand. And really, which really came down to is like, they didn't like, I think the translation I would get in my interpretation was, we just didn't know how to build teams like they did. And we were happy with what we were doing. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, I just like, you take for granted that they're like, it's impossible to open more than one location. I go, this guy next door's got them all over the world. Why? I don't understand. But it was just different mindset, different goals, different intentions. And we had two locations next to each other. Most of the time, nobody knew what the one next door was doing. And it was literally next door because everything that we built was like, you've got to be in here and do it yourself all the time. And that's like really what we're trying to switch away from so we can scale more effectively. So congrats, man. The 230 locations is something, a huge accomplishment.
It's been a blur. It's definitely been a blur. And, and like I said, you lose some parts of it that like made the original aspect. And those are the decisions you make. It's like, I'm like, I'll concede in this, but I'm not conceding in this. And it's like, you have to decide what are your deal breakers, right? I mean,
what are you not willing to bend on?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So last question before we end today. Okay. Oh man. And I know what my answer would be to this, but I'll let you just, what advice would you give somebody that wants to get into our industry?
Oh, wow. I have to say the hospitality industry is amazing. Like the people, I just got back from the Women in Restaurant Leadership Conference. Mm-hmm. It was like heartwarming and just the support. Like the hospitality industry is good with the hospitality part. Like they take care of each other. We had people take us under our wings. I've taken people under my wings. I think that would be like the best thing. Just like really figure that out. But at the same time, understand it is like people like you make it look easy, I think, right? Like, like from the outside perspective, right? People are like, oh, this must be so easy. It's not. Like it is the hardest industry. Yeah. And like I don't know what the statistics are, but like what percentage of restaurants fail? Like it's sad, right? Like, and we've closed stores, just some people can't make it work, or a location, or, I mean, there's so many factors, and yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard and it's heartbreaking. But at the same time, like if you're like truly passionate about it, like you have to go for it, right? Like
I look back on like our history and thinking of somebody was just bringing this up to me 2 days ago. You dealt with this, you had to deal with that, you had to do this, you had to do it. And like when you go through all the challenges of it, I'm like, why would anybody be insane enough to deal with that? But then you're like, well, we have, 200-300 employees that depend on us. We're supposed to just pull the plug. Right. And you have your own families, we're married with kids, all of us on the ownership side. So there's really not another option. Now, people look at me and say, well, you went to college and you worked in different industries and you don't have to do this if you don't want to. You could I probably could, but I don't think I would enjoy it. Like I don't want to be I was in a cubicle before and it was miserable.
Oh no. Yeah.
Kind of misery where I'm at now. Don't get me wrong. It's like, there's always
different. It's a different stress, right? It's a different, and I think sometimes, there's like the personality type. There is a specific personality type that thrives in this. Like, like I don't want to say thrive in chaos, but you thrive in like oh, I want to solve this problem, or what do we do for this? Or, but also like when I'm feeling like kind of bogged down and really burnt out on like sitting in my office and working, trying to create recipes with the same things. I'll go in the store and I talk to customers and they're just like, thank you so much. Like that is the part of it, I think, that runs no matter what your business is in the restaurant industry. Like you're a part of someone's life. I mean, it's kind of a cool thing,
Yeah, when a customer, I've always been like borderline terrified of table touching, which is basically what you just described. But because we opened this restaurant here in Long Beach, and 6 weeks later the pandemic hit, and we were never really clear as a family what we were trying to do there. I realized everybody had a different opinion on what that service model was going to be. So when we hired outsiders to come in, they're like, I don't know, I'm getting 6 different people telling me to do this, and then it got shut down.
Yeah.
Well, we had to really like emerge through that. And we had so many challenges all the way along. When I would touch tables, 50% of people were pissed off, because waited a long time. Services, I know, but we made a mistake in designing the kitchen. We're trying to get through the pandemic. No one's coming to work anymore. And you're trying to work. But you realize in the end, it's like, having someone in a position of authority or leadership or an owner speaking to you at a table, and letting them vent and get out of their system is actually a really good way that they feel heard, and then you can address it, you can fix it, and you can make a lifelong customer that way. But it's like, it takes some intestinal fortitude and patience.
Yeah, right. I mean, nobody likes to get yelled at and everything. But at the same time, I will say on the flip side, I always say, like, I think everyone should have waited tables at some point in their life, right? Like I always tip well, even when I get bad service, if it's like clearly, but I'm like, you never know if they're having a bad day, like what's going on, what's out of their control. Because I've been there. I've been that stressed out waitress that's like, I can't handle my tables right now. Whatever it is, it's people need to tune back into a little empathy, I think, when you're at a restaurant.
And I had this one guy, this is a long time ago, and he was being such a jerk to my barbecue team. And the barbecue team, we call it a barbecue, but really what it was you buy your seafood, you bring it to this outside kitchen, we cook it for you, and then we'd send it back. He was screaming and yelling, and he was screaming at my sister. And I looked at him, I go, dude, I will have security come and take you out right now if you don't calm down. And he pulled me aside, he goes, I'm just trying to impress my girlfriend. I didn't mean anything. And I was like, seriously? All the stress and the lines and everything, the thing you made was to impress your girlfriend. I think she needs to go now for her own safety.
Well, not only that, but like, if that's what impresses her, get rid of her.
I know. I don't know if you thought it impressed her or she told you it did. I couldn't tell, but it was like, sometimes you peel away the layers and you ask the right question and you realize there's really nothing going on here. Anyways, well, hey, thank you for being on. This has been a great interview. I'm trying to be aware of time because I went a little bit late, but really great to reconnect with you after meeting you a couple weeks ago, and great stories. And let's keep it up and talk again soon.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm gonna come visit you soon. I promise.
All right, let me know when.
Okay, I will. Sure.
Happy to host.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Signing off. Take care, everyone.